Okay, welcome back to the second half of our panel, aspects of the Soviet Counterculture and Chinese famines. So in the first two papers, we really sort of encounter many very interesting empirical and methodological questions. And then we'll continue the panel with two more papers, and both papers are on China, and I'm sure those will engage the first two papers as well. So the first one is by Dr. Zhou Xun, and she is a lecturer of modern history at the University of Essex. And her book, The Great Famine in China, 1958 to 1962, the documentary history, was published in 2012. And using new archival and oral evidence, her new work is called Forgotten Voices, Mao's Great Famines from 1958 to 1961. It's one of the very first books that will talk about the ordinary people's memories in the Great Leap Forward and the famines. Dr. Zhou, please.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody, for being here this afternoon. Since we only have 20 minutes, I just go straight into the talk. The history of the Great Famine in Mao's China has been obscured by official taboos and by restricted access to primary sources. Until 1990, very little essential archival material on the subject was available either to historians or to the general public. In November 1990, the Chinese government published a new archival regulation, which was subsequently revised in May 1999. This new regulation theoretically made available documents older than 30 years to historians and the general public. In practice, however, this is not always the case. Today, a great number of documents, including those on the famine, are still classified as unsuitable for public access, and they continue to be deemed closed files. To an extent, even those files classified as open are not always open for access. Thus, to this day, the Great Famine remains a dark episode in China's history and is very much hidden and forgotten. There is no mention of it in any history textbook in China, and it is written off from the official communist historiography. The accepted term in China for this period is the 3 difficult years, or 3 years of natural disaster. I'm one of an increasing number of historians who are pioneering the history of People's Republic of China through the use of new oral and archival evidence. I began the famine research in 2006, and for the next 5 years, I traveled across rural and urban China, from Sichuan to Hunan, Henan, Anhui, Shandong, Yunnan, Guizhou, Guangdong, Guangxi, and many other places to interview famine survivors and to read thousands of party records in archives all over China. Through perseverance over the years, I was able to access party archives that very few people, including top historians from PRC, had been able to see. I must say something, and during these 5 years, while I was researching on the famine, I experienced a number of ups and downs in archives. When I first started my research in 2006, I could read a huge number of documents, but by December 2007, many of the files I could access were removed from the catalog. There was no explanation. So in a situation like this, my strategy was to move from one archive to another and hope for the best. To some extent, this works, as accessibility varies from one archive to another, from province to province, and from county to county. It's very curious that in one-party states like China, there exists such variation. In my own experience, sometimes, even with letter of approval or rubber-stamped passes given by the archive. The historian, like myself, is limited to type of material I'm allowed to consult. On a number of occasions, the staff member in the archive went through every file I ordered before giving me the green light to read them. The worst experience I had was in my home province, Sichuan province, Ya'an County region. I visited 3 archives, county archives there, but in all occasions, the archive staff banned me from reading the files I have ordered because the term death by starvation or revolt appeared in the title. Although in most archives, famine is still seen as an off-limits subject, there are nonetheless a fair amount of open documents which can shed crucial light to the period. One term I found useful was the term grain procurement. In Chinese, it's 统购统销. Younger members of the archive staff often had no idea what grain procurement meant. So when I, tell them, I want to look at, I want to study the grain procurement in the 1950s, they rarely raise their eyebrow, and they quite often say, "Oh, go take a look at the catalog. If you can find, then order them." My strategy was, in the first couple of days, I ordered really, really benign files, the files I don't want to read. And I pretending I was reading them diligently. I was the first one in the archive and the last one to leave. And I spent lots of time actually chatting to the archive staff. And then they become very friendly with me. So once they got familiar with my face, then they don't kind of question the stuff I ordered quite often. So that way I got a lot of stuff I really want to read. And occasionally there was somebody come and see on the desk, the stuff I was reading. They said, "Oh no, you can't read that on that one. It's very sensitive. I don't know how you managed to get that." I said, "Well, not to worry. Just take it back." And the thing about the way the Chinese archives are different, it's very departmentalized, so different people in charge of different things. So the people who are actually in charge, of the files, taking out the files and bring it back are the stockroom staff, and they don't sit in the front desk. And so I give it back to the staff who are working on the front desk, and they just put them on a trolley, waiting for the stockroom staff to remove them. In the meantime, they change shifts. So when the next shifts come up, I'll say, "Oh, I haven't finished that file. Can I read it again?" So they give it to me. So that's how it works anyway. So by painstaking working in the Chinese, by painstaking working in small and large archives throughout China, I was able to piece together from hundreds of fragment documents fuller story of the famine. This book, The Great Famine in China, 1958 to 62, a documentary history published by Yale University Press in 2012, is a label of my research in those 5 years. Before I move on to the next section, I just want to say something more about, the way the Chinese archive works, and how, during those 5 years, I experienced numbers of ups and downs in the archives. When I first started my research in 2006, I could read. Actually, sorry, that's wrong. What I wanted to see was but even this openness I experienced while I was doing the research, I managed to read lots of files, but even this openness has changed in time of leadership transition, which took place in autumn 2012. 3 months before the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party in August 2012, an edict from the State Archive Administration of China technically banned any historians from reading archive documents from the period of 1949 to 1979 period. When I asked why, they just said you can't read those archives for academic research because you're likely to publish. So, as a result, a huge number of documents appeared in this book have been withdrawn. In fact, in Sichuan, I went back in 2013. I looked on the catalog. In this book, a lot of documents came from Sichuan Provincial Party Committee. And the catalog of Sichuan Provincial Party Committee's files has been removed completely. So if there's no catalog on the shelf, then you can't order anything. So you can't take, basically you can't see them anymore.